Here we go with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. I'm Steve Gamache, and this is the CCK small stainless cleaver. They're thin cleaver, model number just for reference, KF1912. So most of their knives that you typically see are reactive carbon steel. This is a stainless steel knife. It is monosteel construction, so it's one hunk of metal. There's no cladding or layers. Heat treat, they don't really specify what steel it is. They don't really specify what the heat treat on it is, but we're going to take a guess on maybe around 60-ish Rockwell. The weight of the knife, these will vary just a touch from knife to knife, but this one's 271 grams or 9.6 ounces. And the edge length is right about 205, so it's about 8.1 inches on the edge. The overall length about 12.2 inches or 310 millimeters. Blade height is going to vary a little bit in the front and in the rear. You've got the curve of the belly, makes it a little bit shorter, less tall, but kind of in the middle part of this blade. It's around 92, 93 millimeters tall. And this is their thin cleaver, so it is quite thin throughout. It's not super heavy, so it's a high performance product. So this one's going to be about 2.15 inches or 2.1, millimeters. And then about halfway down, I measured it about 1 3/4, and it pretty much just kind of holds that. So since it's tall, it's fairly stiff for the weight of this and the thinness of it. Handle, nothing fancy. It's a kind of a barrel wooden handle, bent over tang to hold it on, metal bolster. So nothing super fancy. Looks like it's sealed up pretty well right there where it meets the blade. So on the left side of the blade, we'll get our beauty shot here. So the left side of the blade has model numbers and number 2 and some other logos and stuff on there and characters. You've got a brushed finish, horizontal brush finish. So this is nice because when you clean the knife, you are generally wiping it horizontally, drying it. So what that means is with that horizontal brush finish, those scratches will tend to blend into the finish rather than oppose it on the knives that have a vertical sanding marks on it, so a vertical finish. So that's a cool effect on there that should make it look a little nicer over repeated uses. As we mentioned, this is a thin cleaver, so it is not a big old honking heavy blade. It's got a fairly flat grind, so it'll go through things really well. Not a lot of product separation, not a ton of food release to it. It tends to be a little sticky, but that's kind of the nature of this style of blade. Let's look at the balance point. So balance point's right about there. So it's going to be in front of a pinch, or there's lots of ways people hold these things. Some people put their fingers, some people on the spine like that, their index finger. Some people put 2 fingers here and choke up a little bit. It just kind of depends on, I'm not a cleaver expert, but these are some grips I've seen, but you'll still have a little bit of weight forward balance for some chopping power. Let's take a look at the profile on our cutting board. So this is pretty flat. It's flatter than the Sugimoto cleavers I've been reviewing as well. So you've got just a little bit of back belly at the heel, just a touch of belly towards the tip. You're really not going to rock this thing. It's not going to go very high at all before it starts to want to dig that tip into the cutting board. So you've got a pretty flat profile overall. And then you can definitely use that pointed tip and heel as well, or chin at the back of the heel, for detail work and cutting things as well. Those are quite useful as well, and a lot of people that are experts on Chinese cleavers use a lot of the blade. They use the tip, the heel, the middle. They use all parts of the blade to get done what they need to get done. So if you thought these were pretty cool, but you wanted a stainless version, here it is. So this is the CCK small thin cleaver, their stainless version, KF1912.